You know what? I can't wait to quit social media. I'm like so ready to just throw my phone away. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I know it's gonna happen at some point. And everyone's gonna get mad at me and I'm gonna be like, no, we don't know. Or they'll be thrilled and be like,
thank God Rachel's getting off social media.
There was an in-depth piece, like a behind-the-scenes piece, talking about how they've been in a full meltdown about this girl for a couple of years now.
Reality is that the cartoon was made 85 years ago. It's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power.
Rachel Zegler is spiraling as Family Guy writers openly mock her Snow White disaster.
My agent would have punched me in the face if I was up there saying some stupid What an investment.
okay, it's great. I'm honored. I don't know why I sound so angry right now. I'm honored. Am I a psychopath?
With Hollywood insiders claiming they're laughing off the backlash with a brutal defense. We're just telling jokes. No apologies, no carefully worded PR statements, just unapologetic comedy aimed directly at Disney's crumbling fairy tale empire and the actress caught in its collapse.
I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part.
The timing couldn't be more devastating for Zegler.
I think this girl does not deserve a feature-length film, but rather...
Already reeling from South Park's merciless Panderverse special and widespread social media mockery, she now finds herself in Family Guy's crosshairs, with their signature brand of chaotic, filter-free humor treating her career struggles as prime comedic material. Sources close to the production say the writers feel emboldened by the overwhelming audience support their Disney takedowns have received.
Saying that her version of Snow White, well, the princess will not be saved by the prince. It's no longer 1937, idiots.
In one of the most talked about scenes, Family Guy brutally mocked Disney's struggles with surgical precision. A Disneyland roller coaster labeled Disney Stock plummets into the abyss while Peter Griffin watches in confusion. Another devastating gag captured the cultural whiplash perfectly. Peter, utterly bewildered by constantly shifting character identities, throws his hands up and shouts, "What is everything?"
Found her.
So Snow White slept and waited for her prince to come, but he never did.
A line that exploded into a viral meme within hours. Though never mentioned by name, Rachel Zegler instantly became the living embodiment of everything that scene criticized. Industry insiders claim the Family Guy team sees the backlash around Zegler not as something to avoid, but as confirmation they've hit the bullseye. They reportedly believe they're channeling what millions of frustrated viewers feel but haven't seen reflected in mainstream media: exhaustion with endless reboots and lectures marketed as entertainment.
That said, our primary purpose is to entertain, and where we can entertain responsibly, obviously we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world, but the first thing we need to do is entertain.
It wasn't supposed to be this way. Handpicked by Steven Spielberg for West Side Story and chosen to star in Disney's live-action Snow White, everything pointed towards Zegler becoming Hollywood's next A-lister. But somewhere between the press tours and interviews, the dream twisted into a nightmare.
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it.
Insiders now say Zegler has become something more problematic than an actress facing criticism. She's become the symbol of everything audiences feel is wrong with modern Hollywood. It didn't happen overnight. At first, it was just awkward comments about how the 1937 Snow White was weird.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
How the prince was a stalker. How her version would focus on leadership rather than love. In today's hypercharged media ecosystem, these clips ignited like wildfire. TikTok transformed them into viral memes.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign.
YouTube critics dissected every word.
Yeah, because there's nothing more effective than 19-year-olds educating the rest of the voting public while yelling, "Okay, boomer."
Weird.
And fans who once eagerly lined up for Disney Magic started asking, do these filmmakers even like the stories they're remaking anymore?
I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part.
Before Family Guy even sharpened their knives, South Park had already launched a missile straight at Disney and at Rachel Zegler by proxy. Their Joining the Panderverse special wasn't just a roast, it was a full-scale dismantling of Disney's recent formula. South Park didn't just parody Snow White, they went straight for the company's recent obsession with formulaic diversity casting and hollow reimaginings.
Regardless of the consequences to everybody else.
The special featured a Disney executive wielding a mystical panderstone, an object that compels her to insert diverse women into every franchise regardless of story context.
She has created a lot of publicity for Disney. And
South Park's most devastating blow came when their Disney executive stand-in proudly declared, "Put a chick in it and make her gay."
Put another gay diverse woman in it, make it more lame.
That single sentence became an instant viral sensation, summing up every tired reboot and hollow representation play. And while Rachel Zegler wasn't named outright, the shadow fell across her career immediately. Snow White had already been struggling with fan skepticism. After South Park's special aired, the skepticism hardened into mockery. People weren't just annoyed at the remake, they were laughing at it, laughing at Rachel, laughing at Disney. If South Park's satire and Family Guy's mockery didn't make things clear enough, a real-world moment sealed Disney's humiliation even further. At a public panel, George Lucas made a passing remark about how Disney's handling of Star Wars didn't exactly match his original vision. The audience laughed nervously at first, then harder when they realized Lucas wasn't being subtle. It wasn't a rage-filled takedown. It didn't need to be. The message was crystal clear. Even Lucas, the man who had once trusted Disney to safeguard his galaxy, couldn't help but acknowledge the disappointment. And that disappointment wasn't just about Star Wars anymore. It symbolized everything happening across the company, from Marvel's creative stumbles to the endless parade of live-action remakes. As if the fallout from Snow White wasn't enough, insiders now say Disney's next major live-action gamble is already under siege, and Rachel Zegler's name is at the center of it. According to multiple reports, Disney is eyeing Rachel to lead their upcoming live-action remake of Tangled, and the backlash has already begun before a single frame has even been shot. The numbers alone are jaw-dropping. Tangled is reportedly shaping up to be Disney's most expensive live-action remake yet.
They ever thought about maybe like a little bit of vulnerability study, opposition research, that sort of thing, before you go and hire some Zoomer who's a lunatic?
And they postponed the release of this thing, Ben, for a year because there's
with estimates topping $500 million. That's $500 million riding on the hope that audiences still smarting from Snow White's implosion will embrace another reimagined classic. Social media exploded when Rachel's rumored attachment hit the news cycle. Hashtags like Archa, Not My Rapunzel, and Save Tangled started trending within hours. Comment sections filled with exhausted pleas. Can't we just leave one Disney princess alone? Why does everything need to be modernized? I'm begging you, don't touch Tangled. The frustration isn't just about Rachel personally, insiders say. It's about what she now represents to a large section of the audience. Fairly or unfairly, Rachel Zegler has become cultural shorthand for everything fans are tired of. Perceived disdain for source material, lectures disguised as scripts, and marketing campaigns that feel more like scolding sessions than celebrations. For Rachel Zegler, the defining moment of her PR disaster came when she walked into a near-empty theater to celebrate her own movie's release and accidentally gave the internet one of its most brutal memes of the year.
She's literally the only person there. And do you not understand how humiliating this is? Meanwhile, the experience at Minecraft goes something like this.
Rachel posted a short Instagram story, bouquet of flowers in hand, walking into the cinema like it was a mini red carpet event. But behind her, rows and rows of empty seats, barely a handful of scattered viewers. The internet noticed fast. Within hours, TikTok was flooded with edits of the clip. Some joked that Rachel had brought flowers to her own career's funeral. Others stitched her walk into empty theaters with Family Guy's Disney stock plummeting roller coaster gag. Reddit threads popped up titled, "The Loneliest Premiere in Disney History." Twitter piled on with memes calling it Snow White and the 7 Empty Seats. The optics were devastating. They didn't just confirm Snow White's box office struggles, they symbolized it, a perfect visual metaphor for a film disconnected from the audience it was supposedly made for. And for Rachel personally, it reinforced the growing narrative that she wasn't just the star of a disappointing movie, she was now the symbol of an entire storytelling failure. Behind the memes and viral jokes, insiders say a deeper resentment has been simmering. For many longtime Disney fans, Rachel Zegler became the face of a bigger frustration: Hollywood's perceived obsession with identity politics over storytelling. It started with the casting. Snow White has been traditionally described as having skin as white as snow. When Disney cast a Latina actress, it immediately sparked controversy. They weren't angry about representation itself. They were angry at what they perceived as rewriting a classic character while treating the original as problematic. And Rachel's interviews didn't help. Rather than simply expressing excitement for bringing her own spirit to the role, Rachel openly criticized the original Snow White story, calling it weird, labeling the prince a stalker, and suggesting the classic love story needed to be scrapped. Instead of honoring the fairy tale, many fans felt she was insulting it. And by extension, insulting the generations who loved it. Then things got even messier. Rachel's political activism, especially her vocal support for Palestine during the Israel-Gaza conflict, added another layer of controversy. Her co-star, Gal Gadot, is famously pro-Israel, creating an unspoken but uncomfortable tension. Lebanon officially banned the movie, citing Gadot's involvement, but the broader internet battle lines were already drawn. Another example of Disney projects becoming political minefields instead of entertainment escapes. Just when you think the roasting might finally cool down, insiders say the next blow could already be looming. Whispers inside the industry hint that The Simpsons, the longest-running and arguably most culturally trusted animated series in television history, may be circling the Rachel Zegler Snow White disaster next.
So Snow White slept and waited for her prince to come, but he never did.
And if that happens, it won't just be another meme. It could be the final nail in the fairy tale coffin. The Simpsons has always specialized in parodying trends after the dust starts settling. They wait, watch, and then deliver a brutal post-mortem with accuracy and cultural sting. And insiders speculate that Disney's own properties aren't off-limits anymore. After all, The Simpsons already mocked Marvel fatigue, Star Wars burnout, and the endless reboot cycle, despite all those franchises sitting under the same corporate roof. If The Simpsons were to take direct aim at Snow White, Rachel Zegler, or Disney's broader obsession with rewriting its own legacy, it wouldn't just be another jab, it would be a cultural stamp of disapproval. Because when The Simpsons joins a roast, it doesn't feel like internet noise anymore. It feels like history being written in yellow ink, broadcast to millions, locked into the DNA of pop culture forever. For Rachel, the prospect is devastating. Sources close to the situation say she's already exhausted from the South Park fallout, the Family Guy mockery, and the endless TikTok memes. Another satirical gut punch, especially from a show as iconic as The Simpsons, could solidify her place in the wrong kind of Hollywood lore, not as a trailblazing princess, but as the face of one of Disney's most spectacular implosions. And for Disney, insiders whisper, the warning is even sharper. They're losing the room. When even your own properties, your own house brands start throwing punches, it's no longer about haters or reactionaries. It's about a cultural empire losing the trust and the affection of the very audience that built it. So what do you think? Can Disney still win audiences back after this avalanche of roasts, or has the magic finally slipped through their fingers for good?